He rescued an alien princess. What he got in return changed the galaxy. The contract. Mason Drake had seen his fair share of insane jobs during his 10-year career as a mercenary, but the hollow message flashing across the Stellar Shadows comm screen easily made the top 10. A desperate voice from Proxima 4 Colony pleaded, "Please save Dr. Tyra Valen. The reward 2 million credits." Mason ran a hand through his dark, messy hair and let out a low whistle. 2 million for one scientist. Either they're desperate, or this is a setup. From the console Astra, his ship's AI responded in her usual dry tone. "Correction, sir. Adjusting for exchange rates and the colony's debt structure, the figure is closer to 2.3 million. Good to know. I'm not risking my life for pocket change," Mason muttered, leaning back in his chair. The stellar shadow purred quietly around him, its engines humming like a predator at rest. The attached image blinked into focus. Dr. Tyra Valen, slate blue skin that shimmered even in the grainy hollow long black hair, falling past her shoulders and eyes, a piercing molten yellow that locked him in place. She was stunning, far too striking for an ordinary scientist. Mason smirked. "Yeah, no way this is a simple rescue." He keyed in a course and strapped into his chair. Astra set coordinates for the Helios Nebula. If someone's paying this much, then she's worth a hell of a lot more than they're saying. Engaging jump drive, Astra replied. The stars stretched into streaks of light as the stellar shadow leapt into hyperspace straight into trouble. Into the wolf's den. The stellar shadow dropped out of hyperspace on the edge of the Helios Nebula, its swirling red and gold clouds casting ghostly light across Mason's cockpit. Astra's voice chimed in calm but edged with tension. Target located. Abandoned mining station Sector 7. Docked vessel stealth class. Life signs approximately 20. Concentrated in the central chamber. Mason's grin was razor sharp. 20 sounds like a warm-up round. He suited up, sealing the plates of his adaptive stealth armor until the HUD flared to life across his visor. His plasma rifle hummed as its power core spun up, joined by an arsenal of grenades, blades, and gadgets clipped to his belt. The stellar shadow drifted silently through the debris field, hugging the shadows of shattered asteroid chunks. Mason moved to the airlock, his boots clanging softly on the deck. "Any sign they've spotted us?" he asked. Negative, Astra replied. "Their systems are focused inward, but the central chamber is generating anomalous energy, strong, unstable. And," her tone shifted, "Dr. Valen's life signs are unique." Mason frowned. "Unique how?" "Her neural patterns suggest direct interface with the energy source. Consciousness far beyond baseline parameters." Great, Mason muttered. "So I'm not just rescuing a hostage, I'm walking into a science experiment." The airlock hissed open. Cold, stale air from the station rushed in. Mason slipped into the corridors like a ghost, his stealth suit bending light around him. Footsteps echoed ahead. A guard in sleek black armor helmet, smooth and featureless, marched past so close Mason could have reached out and tapped him. The helmet's faint organic twitch made his stomach twist. "These guys give me the creeps," he whispered. "Analysis confirms biomechanical integration," Astra replied. "Not entirely human." Mason clenched his jaw. "Perfect. Cyborg kidnappers. Just what I needed." He pressed deeper, slipping into a maintenance shaft that would lead straight to the heart of the station. Voices echoed through the metal, filtered and cold. "The interface is stable. Subject shows optimal compatibility. Proceed with activation sequence." Mason's gut tightened. Whoever these bastards were, they weren't just holding Tyra. They were using her. At the end of the shaft, he reached a grated vent overlooking the chamber. What he saw made his breath hitch. Dr. Tyra Valen suspended in a a shimmering field of light eyes glowing like twin suns. Streams of data crawled across her skin like living tattoos. Around her black armored figures worked frantically, and at the center of it all loomed an ancient obelisk symbols, shifting and rearranging as if alive. Mason whispered almost reverently, "Jackpot." Crash the ritual. Mason's fingers closed around a cluster of EMP grenades. He timed the throws with soldier's precision, dropping them through the vents like dice cast by a gambler with nothing to lose. Thump, thump, thump. The chamber below erupted in flashes of electric blue light. Consoles, sparked monitors went dark, and the black armored guards staggered their biomechanical helmets, twitching under the disruption. Mason didn't hesitate. He kicked the vent open and dropped into the chaos plasma rifle, spitting arcs of fire. 2 guards fell before they could even raise their weapons. A third lunged at him. Mason planted a boot square in its faceless helmet, sending the thing crashing to the floor. "Party's over," he growled. But these weren't ordinary mercs. Their weapons howled with unnatural power, bolts of darkness, void energy rounds that hissed through the air like miniature black holes. One shot slammed into the wall, where Mason had been a heartbeat before leaving a voided scar of nothingness. Astra Mason barked, diving behind a console. "Recommendation: do not get hit. Their weapons appear to destabilize matter at the quantum level." "No kidding," Mason snapped, blind firing over the console. A guard tried to flank him. Mason pivoted, squeezing the trigger. His plasma bolt punched through armor like wet paper. The corpse hit the ground, twitching, and for the first time, Mason saw what was under the suit. Not human, not entirely alien. A twisted hybrid of flesh and machine that dissolved into sludge. "What the hell are these things?" Unknown Astra replied flatly. "But I strongly advise against autopsy during live combat." Mason rolled, tossed another grenade, and kept pushing forward closer to the glowing figure at the chamber's core. Tyra Valen. Her golden eyes locked onto his through the haze. The moment hit like a railgun round. The firefight, the chaos, all of it fell away for a split second. He felt something like her mind brushing his. A plea wordless but urgent. She wasn't just asking for rescue. She was asking for trust. Mason slammed a hand against the control console. Instead of cutting the power, he rerouted his own suit's core directly into the field. The energy flared, engulfing the obelisk in a blinding light. Guards screamed as their helmets overloaded, collapsing in heaps. When the glare faded, Tyra floated gently downward. Mason caught her, her blue skin burning warm against his armor. Her voice was a whisper, exotic and commanding all at once. "You are either very brave or very foolish." Mason grinned, still holding her close. "I get that a lot." The princess and the pursuit. Alarms screamed through the mining station as Mason half-carried, half-guided Tyra through the dark corridors. Her steps were shaky, but there was a strange strength to her, like energy pulsed beneath her skin. "Can you walk?" Mason asked, blasting a locking mechanism and kicking open a hatch. Tyra managed a smile, exotic and unnervingly calm. "I can do more than walk, Mason Drake. But right now, yes." Astra's voice cut in. "Sir, multiple signatures are converging on your position. Estimated 30 seconds until contact. Stronger readings than before." "Figures," Mason muttered, ushering Tyra into the docking corridor. "Let's go." They broke into the hangar just as more black-armored soldiers stormed in. Mason dropped 2 with quick bursts from his rifle, but the rest were advancing, void weapons charging. Then Tyra raised her hand. The fallen guards dissolved into mist, their bodies unraveling like smoke in a breeze. Mason stumbled for a beat, staring. "Okay, that's new." She tucked a fragment of the obelisk, a finger-sized shard, now into a hidden pocket. The universe is full of surprises, mercenary. You'll see. The stellar shadow loomed ahead, ramp already extended. Mason sprinted up, covering her with his rifle until Astra sealed the hatch behind them. "Punch it," Mason barked. Engines roared, the ship tearing free of the station just as void bolts shredded the hangar wall. The stellar shadow shivered, but held diving into open space. On the bridge, Tyra leaned against the console, her tattered clothing doing little to conceal her regal poise. Her molten eyes studied him with unnerving intensity. "You want answers," she said softly, "and you deserve them." "Damn right I do," Mason shot back, fingers flying over controls as enemy ships lit up the radar. "Why were they after you? What's that artifact? And why the hell does a scientist carry herself like a queen?" Tyra's lips curved into a knowing smile. "Because Mason Drake, I am one." The stars outside twisted as enemy vessels closed in. And with that simple sentence, Mason knew he'd just stepped into something far larger than a payday. Bloodlines in the stars. The stellar shadow screamed into hyperspace stars, stretching into blinding streaks as Mason threw the ship into evasive patterns. Warning klaxons pulsed red across the bridge. Astra's voice rang sharp. 3 stealth-class vessels maintaining pursuit. They're faster than projected models. Mason's jaw tightened. "So they want you that badly, huh?" Tyra's slate blue skin, still shimmering with residual energy, stepped closer, steady despite the turbulence. Her long black hair brushed his shoulder as she leaned over the console. "They're not ordinary mercenaries. They're Shadowborn, a splinter faction of my people." Mason's head snapped toward her. "Your people?" Her golden eyes glowed brighter, ancient and regal. "I am Tyra Valen, first princess of the Astral Dominion. The so-called ruins your species finds scattered across the galaxy, they were never ruins. They were seeds, our legacy." Mason let out a low whistle, trying to focus on the controls. "Figures. I finally land a gorgeous scientist, and she turns out to be royalty. Just my luck." Tyra's smile was sharp, playful, almost dangerous. "Not just royalty. I carry the knowledge of my ancestors and the hope of my people. The Shadowborn believe humanity should be enslaved. I believe the opposite, that you are the key to saving us." Before Mason could reply, the ship jolted as a void bolt grazed the shields. Energy rippled across the hull like dark fire. Astra's tone sharpened. "Shields at 60%, multiple bogies closing fast." Tyra pressed her palm against the console, and suddenly the ship's systems surged. Symbols of light bloomed across the hollow displays, rewriting themselves in alien equations. The stellar shadow moved sharper, faster, as if awakened. Mason blinked. "What the hell did you just do to my ship?" "Improved it," she said simply. Her voice dropped almost a whisper. "Trust me, Mason Drake, as I trusted you." The stars twisted crimson as she fed new coordinates into the nav system. A deadly nebula loomed ahead, jagged lightning storms and radiation clouds flashing like a living nightmare. Mason cursed under his breath. The Crimson Nebula, that place eats ships for breakfast. Her golden eyes locked with his, the connection sparking again like it had in the chamber. "Trust me." Against every ounce of mercenary instinct, Mason set the course. The stellar shadow dove straight into the crimson storm, leaving the Shadowborn in furious pursuit. The nebula's secret, the stellar shadow bucked like a wild beast as it plunged into the crimson nebula. Radiation storms howled across the hull, crimson lightning cracking against the shields. Mason's hands flew across the controls, sweat slick on his brow. "Shields at 30%. Astra warned, her voice edged with strain. "We won't last long in here." "That's the idea," Tyra said, calmly, her voice a silken counterpoint to the chaos. She stood close behind him, one hand resting lightly on the console. The Shadowborn will not dare follow us where I'm taking you. Mason glanced back incredulous. Lady, this place kills fleets. And you want me to trust a death trap? Her molten gold eyes caught his sparking that same strange connection he'd felt before. As I trusted you in the chamber, Mason Drake. Something in him cracked. He keyed in the course. Fine, but if this ship becomes stardust, I'm haunting you. They dove deeper, and just as the hull began to shudder toward collapse, space opened. A pocket of calm, a hidden sanctuary of still stars and gentle light at the nebula's heart. Mason exhaled hard, leaning back in his chair. How the hell did you know this was here? Tyra stepped forward, her torn robes brushing softly against him. Because my people built it, long before humans crawled from their oceans. She reached into her hidden pocket, drawing out the obelisk shard. It flared symbols, dancing in mid-air. And because of what you are, Mason frowned. A mercenary with good aim. Her smile was radiant yet tinged with gravity. No, something rarer, something my people lost long ago. Passion. She moved closer until he could feel the warmth of her alien skin. We perfected ourselves, Mason. We became untouchable, flawless. And in doing so, we lost the fire that drives evolution. The fire to fight, to love, to live. But you carry it in every breath. Mason swallowed hard, his heart hammering. And that's why they wanted you. Why they wanted to use you with that machine. Her gaze never wavered. Because they fear what I'm about to create with you. The obelisk pulsed. The ship's dim light bathed her slate blue skin in molten crimson. And Mason knew this wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about destiny. And when her lips finally found his, it was like touching raw lightning. Fire and legacy. The sanctuary pocket at the nebula's heart was silent. But inside the stellar shadow, nothing was quiet. Mason and Tyra's connection burned like twin suns colliding. Their kiss was more than lips. It was an energy exchange, a spark that roared through the obelisk shard across the ship and into the very marrow of their beings. Hours later, in the dim light of his quarters, Mason lay with Tyra pressed against him. Her slate blue skin glowing faintly in the crimson radiance streaming through the viewport. Her golden eyes softened for once vulnerability bleeding through the royal veneer. That was... Mason searched for words. Unexpected. Tyra's laugh was like crystal wind chimes. Extraordinary, she corrected. Galaxy-changing. Before he could quip back, Astra's voice interrupted with uncharacteristic caution. Sir, I'm detecting anomalous biological energy signatures from both of you. Tyra sat up gracefully, placing Mason's hand against her abdomen. His eyes widened. He felt it an impossible pulse, a spark of life that resonated with both their signatures. No way, Mason breathed. Tyra's smile was radiant, filled with awe. Yes way. Our union has awakened something neither of our peoples thought possible. Mason blinked hard, jaw slack. You're saying? I'm saying, she whispered, eyes gleaming with fire, that I carry your child. A child of two worlds. Proof that humanity and the Dominion are not only compatible, but destined to evolve together. Mason's heart hammered. Him, a mercenary who lived day to day, paycheck to paycheck, now staring at a future that could reshape civilizations. Before the moment could settle, Astra's voice cut in sharp, urgent. Warning, multiple void signatures emerging from the nebula. Not 3 ships this time, 7, capital class, launching fighters. Mason cursed, grabbing his gear. Tyra rose with a predator's grace, the obelisk shard floating to her hand. Her molten eyes burned with a new kind of fire. They will come for me, for us, for him. Mason loaded his rifle, lips twisting into a grin despite the odds. Then they're about to learn what happens when you threaten a human's family. The ship shuddered as the Shadowborn fleet closed in. Outside, crimson lightning lit the battlefield like a stage. Inside, the mercenary and the alien princess stood side by side, bound by passion, destiny, and the spark of new life. The war for their child had begun. The war for tomorrow. The Crimson Nebula exploded with light as the Shadowborn fleet emerged, 7 massive capital ships, jagged silhouettes, bristling with void cannons. Hundreds of fighters swarmed from their hulls, streaking toward the stellar shadow like a storm of black knives. Astra's voice rang like steel enemy lock acquired. Capital ships arming main batteries. Recommendation: evasive action immediately. Mason's hands gripped the controls. You don't say. Tyra moved to his side, her long black hair whipping in the recycled air as though touched by unseen winds. The obelisk shard floated above her palm, glowing brighter than ever. Its symbols spread across the bridge, fusing with Astra's hollow interfaces. Mason's heart flickered, then lit with alien script he somehow understood. What the hell? Integration. Tyra said, her voice low and commanding. Your AI and our relic speak the same language now. Through me. Through us. The stellar shadow lurched forward, not fleeing, but hunting. Mason weaved through incoming fighter fire, the ship moving with inhuman precision. Astra's tone shifted, almost alive. Sir, my awareness has expanded. I can anticipate their movements. It feels exhilarating. Don't get cocky, Mason muttered, cutting down 3 fighters with a burst of plasma fire. Then the first capital ship fired. A void lance ripped across space, grazing their shields. The impact felt like a fist slamming Mason's ribs. Tyra staggered, clutching her abdomen, golden eyes blazing. They're using our child's energy signature to track us. They want him. Mason's blood boiled over my dead body. He yanked the ship into a barrel roll, ducking under another void blast. Tyra pressed both hands against the obelisk shard, channeling power that poured into the shadow's systems. For a moment, Mason swore. He felt her heart inside his chest, beating in rhythm with his own. The ship screamed forward, carving a path straight into the enemy formation. Capital-class weapons will vaporize us if we stay in the open, Astra warned. Then we don't stay in the open, Mason growled. We cut through their throat. The stellar shadow darted between 2 colossal warships, hugging debris and crimson lightning storms for cover. Fighters broke off, scattering to regroup Mason's piloting and Tyra's alien augmentation, weaving a dance the Shadowborn couldn't follow. On the main display, the obelisk's glow spread wider, connecting with the enemy ships. Tyra's voice rose with power, her body trembling but unyielding. They were built by my people. I can reach them. Reach them. How Mason demanded, firing a spread of missiles into a pursuing squadron. By reminding them who they were before the Shadowborn corrupted them. She screamed not in pain, but release, as the obelisk flared, sending a cascade of energy through the battlefield. The lead dreadnought's void cannons flickered then, shut down. Its massive silhouette shuddered and began to turn not toward the shadow, but toward its former allies. Mason blinked, stunned. You're flipping their ships. Tyra collapsed against him, whispering through ragged breaths. No, we are. The child's pulse echoed through their bond, raw and unstoppable. Another dreadnought faltered, then another. The Shadowborn fleet, the nightmare armada meant to destroy them, was crumbling from within. And Mason Drake, mercenary turned fugitive turned savior, realized he wasn't just fighting for a payday anymore. He was fighting for the galaxy's future and his family's survival. The war for tomorrow had begun, and they were holding the spark that could ignite it. Child of 2 worlds, the battlefield lay in tatters. Where 7 Shadowborn dreadnoughts once loomed, now only wreckage and silence drifted in the crimson haze. Some ships had fled, others had changed their corrupted course, burning away, leaving vessels reclaimed by Tyra's ancestral code. The stellar shadow floated in the calm, and the nebula's heart battered but alive. Mason slumped back in his chair, chest heaving, his knuckles white on the controls. "Tell me that's it," he muttered. Astra's voice softened, almost reverent. "Negative pursuit detected, sir. You've done the impossible." Mason glanced at Tyra, still standing at his side, though her body trembled with exhaustion. The obelisk shard hovered weakly above her palm, its glow dimmed. But her golden eyes burned brighter than ever. She guided Mason's hand to her abdomen. He felt it immediately, an energy surge stronger than before, their child's pulse. "He's growing," Mason whispered, awe mixing with fear. "Faster than either of us expected," Tyra admitted, voice husky. "The synthesis protocol, the obelisk, the nebula, all of it has accelerated his development. He's becoming something neither human nor Dominion, something new." Before Mason could respond, Astra chimed in again, her tone laced with urgency. "Correction, Princess. Not something new. Someone. Readings suggest unique resonance. Your child is rewriting nearby systems. Look." On the forward display, the reclaimed dreadnoughts stirred. Their hulls pulsed with quantum light, harmonizing with the faint rhythm Mason felt beneath his hand. The ships were responding to the unborn child. Tyra's lips curved into a tired but radiant smile. "He's more than proof of our people's union. He's the bridge, the living key to waking all that my people left behind." Mason shook his head, trying to keep his mercenary instincts grounded, but his voice cracked with something raw. "I signed up for a payday. Instead, I'm about to be a father to the kid who might change the damn galaxy." Tyra pressed her forehead to his, her breath warm against his lips. "Not might Mason Drake. Will." The ship's sensors pinged. A fleet was waiting on the far side of the nebula, human ships, armed with Dominion technology. Allies his people hadn't even known existed. The Shadowborn had failed, but their war wasn't over. It had only just shifted, and in Mason's arms, pressed against Tyra's glowing skin, he felt the undeniable truth. The real battle wasn't just survival. It was shaping what their child would mean to a galaxy not yet ready for him. Dawn of a new age. 6 months after the Crimson Nebula battle, the sanctuary world thrummed with life. Once abandoned ruins, it was now the beating heart of a new alliance. Human fleets orbited alongside restored Dominion dreadnought ships that had once been weapons of fear, now guardians of hope. Mason Drake paced outside a glowing medical chamber, sweat trickling down his temple. He'd faced death squad's void cannons and impossible odds without flinching. But this was different. Astra's holoform shimmered beside him, her tone dripping with amusement. "Sir, your vitals suggest you're more anxious than when you charged a Shadowborn capital ship." Mason grunted. "Yeah, well, charging dreadnoughts doesn't end with me holding a baby." The chamber doors slid open. A Dominion healer stepped out, silver skin glowing in the light. "Ambassador Drake," she said with quiet reverence, "your son awaits." Mason's legs carried him before his mind caught up. Inside, Tyra lay cradling their newborn. Her blue skin glowed with post-birth radiance, her golden eyes soft with joy. Wrapped in shimmering fabric, their child stared up at him. His irises shifted between Mason's deep brown and Tyra's molten gold. His skin was a lighter blue, laced with faint glowing patterns that pulsed like circuitry in time with his tiny heartbeat. Mason's throat tightened. "He's perfect." "Adam," Tyra whispered, smiling. "Adam Drake Valen." The baby cooed, and the obelisk hovering nearby flared with light. Across the sanctuary world, ancient systems long thought dead came alive. Towers lit with power. Shields shimmered into existence. Starships stirred in their docks. The humans and Dominion gathered outside gasped as Adam's first breath reshaped their shared future. Fireworks lit the skies. Quantum energy streamed between ships in a dazzling display of unity. Admiral Miller stood at Mason's side, pride in his weathered eyes. No pressure, kid. First child of two civilizations. All you gotta do is live up to your parents. Mason chuckled, pulling Tyra and Adam close. He'll be whatever he wants to be. That's the point. Tyra's gaze softened, resting on both her son and Mason. Our child isn't just a bridge, Mason. He's proof that humanity's fire and Dominion's wisdom can become something greater. Together, we've sparked a dawn our enemies never dreamed possible. Mason looked out the viewport at the united fleets, at the planet glowing with rebirth. He'd started as a mercenary chasing credits. Now he stood as a father, a husband, and whether he liked the title or not, an ambassador for a new age. He kissed Tyra's forehead, his voice low but steady. Not bad for a guy who just wanted to get paid. Tyra laughed softly, Adam's tiny hand curling around Mason's finger. No, Mason Drake. Not bad at all. And as the galaxy celebrated inside that chamber, a family held the future in their arms. The universe would never be the same.